Hidden Object Guru here with a look at some of the games I recently played. As always, I'm going to be rating these out of 10 based on how interested I am in going back and playing more of them. Also, before we get started, go check out my game, Clown in the Woods, available to play for free on itch.io right now. It's a visual novel. Probably should have mentioned that somewhere in the page. Anyway, first up, we have Pond Scum. I want to like this game more than I do. I'm all for VR platformers. I think vignette platforming as exemplified in Moss and Astro Robo Rescue is the best possible version of the platforming genre. So I was predisposed to like this thing. Sadly, the platforming is floaty and imprecise. The challenges haven't been tested to make sure they're entertaining or fair, and the biggest problem of all, the bizarre decision the developers made to put all of the action well below the player's eye line, so that they're constantly looking down at what's happening, which is basically a recipe for neck strain. The setting is interesting, and with some polish this could get there, but my sore neck tells me I'm not going to be coming back to this anytime soon. 3 out of 10. My Little Blood Cult. I truly don't know what they're going for here. It's theoretically a horror fishing game about catching demons, but the mechanics are so obtuse that it's impossible to feel like you're making any progress. It's unclear which baits are going to lure which monsters, what changing the depth or getting better gear will accomplish, or what goal we're attempting to achieve by playing it at all. Also, I'm not playing this on my phone, so quit with the "you have to wait a minute unless you want to pay money" nonsense. This isn't a free-to-play game. Hopefully, if they add a bunch of quality of life improvements, this might be something in the future. But man, they'd better advertise that to me, because otherwise, I'm not coming back to this mess. 3 out of 10. U-Boat: The Silent Wolf VR. This is a strange mix, because while I really like the mechanical gameplay, piloting the sub, firing the cannons and anti-aircraft gun, and managing torpedo arming and firing, the game really let me down when it came to directions. U-Boat frequently lost track of what it had explained to me and what it hadn't. Current mission objectives are incredibly unclear. In the most egregious example, I was told to track down a ship and sink it, while being offered no information about how to locate or follow enemy ships. The game looks and feels quite good. I just wish they'd put a little more work into onboarding the player into its world. 4 out of 10. House Builder VR. I tried to load it and it hung on the loading screen, so I gave them a few months to fix the issue. They didn't, so this gets an I could not play it out of 10. Moss 2, PSVR 2 version. What do you want me to say at this point? This is the third time I've played this game through from beginning to end, and it's just as magical as ever. There isn't a moment in this journey that isn't charming, and the game looks better than ever on the PSVR 2. If you haven't played this and you have a PSVR 2, you owe it to yourself to pick it up. If you've already played it on a different platform, go ahead and buy it again. You deserve the treat, and the developers deserve your support. I beat it out of 10. Foglands. The publishers were kind enough to send me both a PSVR 2 and Quest 2 version of the game, which gives us a chance to compare and contrast them. This was kind of a weird game for that, actually. The Quest version had worse graphics and loading times between each room, which the PSVR 2 version has just down to a second of lockup. But the Quest version seemed to have more content? Right from the start, there were more room layouts, more interesting enemy patterns, and strange messages on doors that were absent from the PSVR 2 version. The gameplay is pretty similar in both, although there's an unpleasant choppiness whenever the action gets heavy in Quest 2, and that might be a deal breaker for some. While I like the setting, I'm always a sucker for Western-themed shooters, even one set in a post-apocalyptic mine. The game was too glitchy and poorly tuned on both systems. First, there's the aiming, which fires off to the left whenever I hold the controller normally in my right hand. Now, on any other day I'd blame myself, but I was playing Arizona Sunshine 2 right before it, and that game has perfect controls. But when I switched over to this, suddenly the gun's pulling way to the left. So it's not me, and it's not my controller. That means it's gotta be the game. Maybe put gun calibration in the game, VR people? Then there's the truly terrible first boss of the game, who may be one of the worst bosses I've ever encountered. Seriously, I'm probably gonna have to do a short, just completely separate, about how bad this one boss is. Then, after finally beating him and making it to the second zone, I got trapped in a room when the exit button failed to work and I had to quit my run. Hopefully, they're going to put together a few patches, because I'd be happy to be lured back for more of this. But for now, it's a 5 out of 10. The Creature. Escape Room. In the second example of an unplayable game this week, Creature VR proved deeply frustrating. I loaded up the game, and the start menu was behind me, and there was no way to interact with it. I couldn't figure out how to start the game, but unlike House Builder VR, this thing actually did load, so I guess it gets a 2 out of 10. UFO robot Grendizer. Okay, long story short, Goldorak was the first giant robot cartoon I ever watched, so when I found out that there was going to be a UFO robot Grendizer, that's the actual name of Goldorak, game, obviously I had to buy it immediately. That's right, in some kind of a record, this is the first game I'm covering in one of these videos that I actually bought rather than had sent to me as a review copy. Crazy, right? Anyway, the point is, the game is everything I wanted it to be. Simple combat with tight, easy to understand controls. Solid mission design, great open world maps that allow you to see for miles and really feel like you're a huge mech stomping through the terrain. Even the interstitial sequences between maps, where Duke Fleed hangs out on a farm strumming his guitar while wearing a fringed leather vest like the most chill Western hippie in the world, are just a delight. I'm obviously massively biased, but nothing was going to stop me from 100%ing this game other than god-awful Skull Island grade gameplay. And since Grendizer wind up having pretty great combat and smooth as silk boss fights, I'm happy to be able to give it an I beat it out of 10. That's it for now. I've been the Hidden Object Guru. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time and you'd like to see more, there's buttons coming up to help you with that. Questions, suggestions, related whatnots, go in the comments section below the video. Remember to check out my visual novel, Clown in the Woods, over at itch.io. There's a link in the description. I will see you back here when I've played some more new games, but until then I'll say that's right. Au revoir.